Man's Opinion. Today I am reviewing the new Broadway musical, The Great Gatsby, with book by Kait Kerrigan, music by Jason Howland, and lyrics by Nathan Tysen, directed by Marc Bruni, choreographed by Dominique Kelley, running at the Broadway Theater in 1681 Broadway in New York City. If you'd like to support this show, send some of that new money to my Patreon page where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support the show as well as my classic cinema podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. Thank you to my current patrons, especially my Neo and Hamilton patrons, and welcome to the new ones. Jason Howland and Nathan Tysen's new musical adaptation of F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel The Great Gatsby is a dazzling piece with great performances, energetic dance numbers, and an Art Deco design that is almost always moving, keeping in form with the story's theme of the Roaring Twenties and the decadence surrounding it. It's the summer of 1922, and Nick Carraway, played by Noah J. Ricketts, has come to New York City to pursue his career as a bond salesman. Starting out, he doesn't have much money, so he finds a cheap cottage to rent out on a bay in Long Island. His next-door neighbor, who owns the cottage, is the enigmatic Jay Gatsby, played by Jeremy Jordan, who throws lavish parties at his palatial mansion. The cottage is not so coincidentally across the bay from the home of his cousin Daisy Buchanan, played by Eva Noblezada, and her husband Tom, played by John Zydrzejewski. After an invitation to one of Gatsby's parties, it becomes apparent that Gatsby has orchestrated Nick's new residence so he can have him arrange a meeting with Daisy, whom Gatsby once had a romantic relationship with 5 years prior when he was about to ship off to serve in World War I, and now obsesses over her to the point of trying to have her leave Tom for him. Meanwhile, Nick starts his own romance with a friend of Daisy's, golfer Jordan Baker, played by Samantha Pauly. To add to the tangled web of drama, Tom is having an affair with Myrtle Wilson, played by Sarah Chase, the wife of mechanic George Wilson, played by Paul Whitty. This is in the same time as Prohibition, and George is assisting Gatsby in smuggling booze on behalf of gangster Mayor Wolfsheim, played by Eric Anderson. It's a lot of plots, but Kerrigan, Howland, and Tysen mostly do an excellent job of hitting all the narrative and emotional beats to make the musical work. The one significant problem I have is the diminished role Nick plays in the story. I appreciate that time is taken to portray elements of the story that are not from his perspective, as the book is written in first person, and it allows more flexibility when it comes to the songwriting. But Nick sometimes feels like an afterthought, and his fascination and hero worship almost of Gatsby is all but gone from the story, weakening the possibility of Nick being an unreliable narrator, a theory I hold firm in regards to the book. This is nothing against Noah J. Ricketts, who I think is great as Nick, giving him a wide-eyed innocence, being thrown into the debaucheries of the upper class. His number, The Met, is bitterly funny as he struggles to get through a party that Tom takes him to with Myrtle to a location in Harlem where they can have their secret affair. Nick, meanwhile, has nowhere to go while he is being sexually accosted by a swinging couple. Jordan and Noblezada are also excellent, though I feel Jordan's voice can be a little too whiny in that pop style he has, but he does score big with his soaring ballad in the second act, Past is Catching Up to Me. Noblezada, on the other hand, has a deliciously smooth and sensual voice. Her For Better or Worse is beautiful with a touch of tender melancholy. The two of them are steaming with lust and desire for each other that is exemplified in the first act finale, My Green Light, a song that is a little too on the nose in a metaphor, I think. The music is a bit of a problem as it doesn't really know what it wants to be. Sometimes it is a rich, jazzy score that fits the period with just enough modern touches to give it some accessibility for younger audiences, and that's great. That side of the score I really love, but then it sometimes defaults to a more modern pop style, which doesn't feel authentic. The second act also runs a touch too long. I don't think Myrtle and George each need their own song as the musical reaches its climax. The performances of the songs are fine, but it seems to hold the plot from moving forward. And like My Green Light, George's song, God Sees Everything, seems to be a bit too on the nose when it comes to the metaphors of the story. The scenic and projection design by Paul Tate dePoo III is excellent. I love the layering of the scrim, the projections, and the flats to give it a richly detailed sense of depth and texture. Linda Cho has given us some of the most gorgeous costumes of the year, full of glitz, opulence, and decadence of the jazz era, and Dominique Kelley's choreography is fantastic. The Great Gatsby has a lot of strengths. The performances are excellent, and the visuals and choreography are spectacular. But I do wish the score was more cohesive, that some of the songs didn't spoon-feed the audience Fitzgerald's allusions and metaphors of the book, and that Nick was a bit more developed, especially in regards to his fascination towards Gatsby. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see The Great Gatsby, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be a link to my Patreon page, so feel free to visit that as well. You can also support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the new Broadway production of Uncle Vanya. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.